We're told that in a church of 200 people, approximately 8 people are living with cancer and 2 more will be diagnosed with the disease every year. Each of these individuals has caregivers, family members, and friends who are affected as well. That's why it's crucial that there is spiritual support from one's church family. We'll be talking with a representative of the Cancer Treatment Centers of America to learn some of the free services they offer to pastors, lay leaders, and cancer patients. So, let's get connected. My guest today on Weekend Connection is Reverend Percy Mccray. He's the Director of Faith-Based Programs with the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. First of all, Percy, welcome to the broadcast today on the Bible Broadcasting Network.
Thank you, my brother. It is good to be with you and your listening audience. Thank you so much.
As we begin today, you might want to explain how the Cancer Treatment Centers of America work. Brother Percy, are they found in every state or just in selected regions of the country?
Yeah, the Cancer Treatment Centers of America is a network of regional hospitals that are located strategically in major regions of the United States. Our mother flagship hospital is in the northern suburb of Chicago, Illinois, and Goodyear, Arizona, and then our most recent hospital is in Noonan, Georgia. So those are our regional sites that are strategically located in those corridors throughout the United States.
Now, do you see a large percentage of Christian people and churchgoers at your hospitals seeking care?
You know, it's an amazing question, and it's one of the intriguing things that has allowed me to be so engaged with the work that I've done now at the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. You know, we began to really take a good look at, the demographic makeup of our patients, and ironically and astoundingly, we found out that probably close to 80% of our patient population identify themselves as evangelical Christian.
Oh, wow.
And so we were amazed that we were attracting, from a religious perspective, that high number of patients to our organization. And we found out it really had a lot to do with our core values as a healthcare institution, right, and what hinged around the concept of hope, being hopeful and being a fighter. That really resonates, obviously, with the evangelical Christian community. And so we find ourselves, serving a large population of Christians in all of our regional hospitals.
Now, Brother Mccray, speaking of hope, when did Our Journey of Hope begin, and who created the program?
It's a great question, and it really started from a core question that was asked of myself. I was, at the time, a bedside chaplain. I was the director at that time of one of the regional hospitals and the pastoral care department there, and had an opportunity to minister to a patient who was doing very poorly. And on her subsequent return back visit to the hospital, she just looked miraculously different and had recovered so well, and basically attributed that to the type of spiritual care that she was receiving at the bedside inside of our clinical environment, along with all of the other world-class medicine that we perform, and asked if I would be willing to sit down and speak with her local ministerial alliance community to just share with the local pastors around ministry to cancer patients from a healthcare perspective. And it was a very unique conversation. It was something that never had transpired prior. Mm-hmm. And that's what really was the impetus that led us down the road of saying, we really need to create something that is structured as an organization. Number one, that would be a gift back to the faith community. 80% or so of our patients are faith-based, and many of them felt that they were not receiving what they felt was adequate support from their local churches and pastors. And we began to find out that local pastors and churches simply were not equipped to have that conversation and were not comfortable with that. So the natural consequence was that we wanted to own that space and create a relationship that really had not, and still to this day really doesn't exist, with the healthcare community and the local faith community, in terms of joining our forces of thought together to work on the best interests of people dealing with sickness and disease, and that we could be a help and a service to them in a way that would really transform their ministries. And so the Our Journey of Hope program was birthed, and I was part of stimulating that conversation with our internal leadership and providing some guidance and some support to kind of pave that way. And then along the way, we've gotten others involved in the organization to have a really fine-tuned and well-oiled machine now called Our Journey of Hope.
We're talking to Reverend Percy Mccray, Director of Faith-Based Programs for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and specifically the Our Journey of Hope Cancer Care Leadership Training. Percy, as you were speaking, I was thinking about our churches, which are good at conducting seminars and support groups for people experiencing divorce, financial difficulty, other life challenges. But cancer, I can understand why people don't want to talk about it, yet it affects so many church families, doesn't it?
That's true. And it's interesting that what, we've come to understand is that we actually did a survey and a poll of local pastors to find out what were the kind of top areas of concern of ministry and request of ministry by their local faith communities. And the top three was exactly the list that you gave. It was finances, it was marital issues, and then it was healthcare dynamics specific with cancer. And yet what we've understood is that there are many programs that have been developed to supplement and help support local pastors to provide financial counseling to their local church and marital counseling, and now even addiction counseling, but no such program had been developed to provide support and training around healthcare and cancer. Mm-hmm. So we understood that there was a missing gap of information and knowledge that did not exist. And so we decided to own and create that space to be able to facilitate the number one growing healthcare concern in our country. Mm-hmm. And I believe the numbers are 1 out of every 4 cancer patients that are diagnosed are members of someone's local faith community and church. And so we know that this is a huge element that requires support and education. And so we want to equip and prepare our local churches and our local pastors to be able to withstand that barrage of ongoing cancer patients that are currently in their congregation and that will be coming into their congregation, so that we can properly support and provide care for them as they move forward through their journey of cancer and treatment.
Very good. We're talking with Reverend Percy Mccray. He's the Director of Faith-Based Programs for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, as we discuss Our Journey of Hope, Cancer Care Leadership Training for the Church. And Brother Percy, in training volunteers, do they need some type of medical degree or basic medical knowledge to be qualified to be used in a cancer care ministry?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the beauty of this training is that cancer has still elicited a wall of silence in our community, in our homes, and certainly in our local churches, where we don't really have open dialogue and discussion. And one of the reasons is that many people simply do not feel equipped or enabled to be able to kind of traverse that narrative and that landscape.
Right.
The program is designed in such a way, and the curriculum is designed in such a way that it really will allow laymen, and that's the idea of the program, is to have local pastors go back to their local churches and begin to recruit the laity of their local churches to actually facilitate and execute the program. They do not have to have a medical background or any type of formal training. It certainly would enhance the ability of one, if there is a nurse or someone in their congregation who would like to engage in this type of ministry, but it certainly is not necessary and needful. We're training and developing people perhaps do very practical, pragmatic, grassroots ministry to cancer patients, and we're certainly not trying to engage anyone into becoming a medical clinician. That's a completely different horse of another color. This is about being able to be the hands and the feet of Jesus Christ to people in a way that will minister to their mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical needs, and hopefully they're getting good, proper care from a healthcare and medical perspective with their local medical team in town, and how to engage those individuals and have good dialogue and discussion.
We're talking with Reverend Percy Mccray. He's the Director of Faith-Based Programs for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. In your experience, what is the common denominator in people of faith and their attitude toward cancer treatment?
Wow, that is a great, great question. There probably are a couple of things. There may even be a list of 5 things. Some of the common denominators of people of faith who have been forced to deal with and now, wrestle with the idea of being a cancer patient. And I think that this is just part of the human dynamic of people in general is, in many cases, Lord, why me?
Right.
And so then there's a series of filters that individuals begin to try to process through. Was it my lifestyle? Is it because of things that I may have engaged in my past? So they begin to kind of try to process through, is this a form of judgment? Where is the will of God in this process? So many Christians begin to look for, and this is a very profound dynamic of, I think, of Christian thought, is to find meaning and purpose in the midst of a very devastating diagnosis, and how to channel that in a way that it can be used for a purposeful and productive mechanism that will help other people. So this becomes a testimony. It turns into a personal mission. So they begin to, rifle through after they work through the initial kind of shock of being told that, why me? Is there a purpose to this? Is this a calling? Is this something that, I've been asked to do so that I can help other people? So those become some kind of common denominators of things that Christians begin to try to analyze. So again, part of the ministry of supporting Christians is helping them to be able to process that human filter of trying to make sense of a cancer diagnosis.
And why should the Bible be so central in a cancer care ministry?
Well, ultimately, as Christians, and we're talking to a Christian audience, and as one who has been a practicing minister, we know that the Word of God and the Bible for evangelical Christians is the basis by which we filter, process, understand, reason, rationalize, and guide our lives by and with. And so this is no different, obviously, when one is being stricken with a major life-changing prognosis of sickness and disease. Again, part of the conversation that's very interesting for the Our Journey of Hope ministry is that conversation typically is dictated and dominated by a lot of technical medical jargon and language that for many becomes too much to consume or understand. And so therefore, it can cause people to shut down mentally and emotionally. The Bible and the concepts helps to give people a mechanism by which to process all of that rhetoric and conversation that takes them back to some core elements that they find strength, that they can find hope, that they can find purpose. And so as far as I know, the Bible is the only instrument that really can be that type of navigational tool or compass to help people negotiate the tumultuous storms of life. Right. When we are thrown a curveball and didn't expect to see or feel that, and then what do we do now and what's next? The Bible becomes essential and crucial because it is our roadmap that has helps us to navigate through any and all negative dynamics of the human experience. And so the Bible becomes crucial even under the circumstances of a cancer diagnosis. And many people turn to the Bible and to their faith under the circumstances of that, even when they may not have been a practicing believer previous to that, because it provides them mechanisms that cannot be managed by medicine and science alone.
We've been talking with Reverend Percy Mccray. He's the Director of Faith-Based Programs for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and we've been discussing Our Journey of Hope. Brother Percy, I'm sure you have 1,000 stories, but do you have a brief story you could share about the impact OJOH had on an individual?
Well, yeah, you're right. There are so many now, and a couple of stories that come to my mind, is an individual who is a pastor, actually, and, leading a congregation and was doing well, and life was just cruising right along, and was a person who taught on faith and believing in God. And here he was stricken with cancer and was challenged in his own faith and in his own belief, even as a pastor and as a person connected to God. And when he had opportunity to be introduced to the Our Journey of Hope program, readily admitted that he really lost confidence in his ministry and in his ability to stand before the people And the Our Journey of Hope program came along at a time where he was really considering leaving the ministry because he had gotten so discouraged. And the Our Journey of Hope program helped him to embrace his humanity as well as embrace his ministerial call, but understood that there was an element of his didactic or educational or philosophical orientation around ministry that he simply didn't get while he was being trained for ministry around healthcare, that helped him to regain his footing and his balance. And so went through the program, became re-engaged with his ministry, went back to his local church and admitted, his struggle, started the ministry, and his church is thriving. His cancer care ministry is thriving. He's excited about ministry again.
Now, if someone should desire to speak to a representative from Our Journey of Hope for prayer support or perhaps just a listening ear, or to find out more about this Journey of Hope training, is there a number that they can call?
We have an entire website that is set up exactly for what you just described, and it is, of course, ourjourneyofhope.com. You can ask questions of people who have started cancer care ministries, or you can ask questions of the leaders, ourjourneyofhope.com. All lowercase letters, all one word. So actually get on the website, and it is there free for everyone to utilize at their leisure.
Very good. Thank you so much. We have been speaking with Reverend Percy Mccray, Director of Faith-Based Programs for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and we have been specifically zeroing in on Our Journey of Hope, the cancer care leadership training that he offers. Thank you again, Brother Percy, for joining us today on Weekend Connection.
Thank you for allowing me. Have a great and wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to this feature, a production of BBN, the Bible Broadcasting Network. BBN provides 24-hour Christian programming, great Christian music, and Bible teaching. Listen to BBN by clicking the link in the description.